As May draws to a close, it's becoming urgent for the Indians to get this season turned around. A win to start the homestand would help, and the offense is going to have to get kick-started against the Rockies, the highest scoring team in the National League. The Tribe has the right man on the mound in Corey Kluber, who looks for his 4th win of the month, next on Sports Time Ohio. It's a beautiful night in downtown Cleveland as the Indians return home to take on the Colorado Rockies in interleague action here at Progressive Field. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Tribe trying to snap their losing streak, and they might have the right man on the mound tonight. Corey Kluber, he's unbeaten here in the month of May. And, Rick, he's the first right-handed starter since Bob Feller to strike out 8 or more in 5 consecutive starts.
Well, the last time the Indians won, Kluber was on the mound. It was in Baltimore. He pitched 7 shutout innings, gave up 5 hits. He twirled the gem, and he's 1-0 this year in interleague play. He's 4-0 in his career, and he's going to have to stop a hard-hitting Colorado team if he was to win tonight. You can see in his last 7 starts, 4-1, but he's pitching against Juan Nicasio, who has pitched very well in the month of May as well, so we're looking for a good pitching matchup tonight.
Indians trying to snap a 4-game skid here this evening, and we'll see if Corey Kluber can get them off on the right foot here tonight. He's never lost in interleague play. A perfect 4-0 in 4 starts against the senior circuit. The play-by-play action between the Tribe and the Rockies is coming up next. McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. By Panini's, get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And by Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. And we welcome you into Progressive Field on a gorgeous evening as the Colorado Rockies invade for some interleague baseball here tonight. Rockies come in 28-25. They're in second place in the NL West, just percentage points ahead of the Dodgers. 6.5 back of front-running San Francisco. Tribe comes in 24-30. They've lost 4 in a row, 8 off the pace in the AL Central, currently in last place. Take a look at the starting lineup for the Rockies under manager Walt Weiss. It's brought to you by Toyota. Charlie Blackmon leads it off. Then it's Corey Dickerson, followed by Troy Tulowitzki, who is having an MVP caliber season. Carlos Gonzalez in the cleanup spot. Then it's Michael Kadire, followed by Justin Morneau. WILIN Rosario 7th, Charlie Culberson 8th, and DJ LeMahieu bats 9th.
And our GMC starting pitcher will be Corey Kluber. Making his 12th start this year, Kluber has a record of 5-3, a .310 earned run average. He is 1-0 this year in interleague play. He is 4-0 in his career, coming off a great start in Baltimore. Pitched 7 innings, gave up 5 hits, and he struck out 9. Second in the league in strikeouts, those 83 punch-outs for Kluber. Let's check the key at defense behind him. Tonight, it looks like this. It'll be Brantley in left field. Bourne is in center. Murphy is in right. Chisenhall at third. Cabrera at short. Kipnis is at second. Aguilar at first with Gomes behind the plate.
John Tumpane will call the balls and strikes. The crew chief Bob Davidson is at first. James Hoy at second. Bill Welke down at third. We're ready to go as Charlie Blackmon steps in to get it started for the Rockies. Blackmon batting .314 on the year.
I don't think there's many bad batting averages you're going to say when it comes to the Colorado team.
No, not the way these guys swing it. Upstairs with it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Corey Kluber coming off a start in which he threw almost 70% of his pitches for strikes against Baltimore. A 1-1. Missed down and away. Rockies in the final leg of a 3-city road trip. And that bunt is going to stay foul. Boy, it hit the lip, and I thought it might come back the other way.
Yeah, that's why you pick it up, and that's exactly what Chisenhall did. Yeah, it hits the lip, and you see it start curving back. And that's when you touch it, because it might have come back.
Colorado began their current road trip in Atlanta. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Braves. And then went to Philadelphia, where they lost 2 out of 3 to the Phillies. And they were shut out in back-to-back games. They lost to Atlanta 7-0, lost the opener in the Phillies series 9-0.
They were coming off an off day yesterday as well, like the Indians.
Fouled right back. Two ball, 2 strike count on Blackmon. And a bouncing ball to short, and Asdrubal Cabrera had to reach back for it. Throws him out, 1 away. Keys to the game brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. Well, the Indians trying to find some offense. They scored just 7 runs in their current 4-game losing streak. And hopefully Corey Kluber can stop that with a good performance here tonight. Indians are 4-2 when he pitches after a loss. And Kluber with his final start in what has been a very, very good month of May for him.
Kluber pitches his record 2-1 here at the ballpark with a .270 ERA. He's 3-2 on the road. It doesn't matter where Corey pitches. He seems to be the same everywhere. He's been the most consistent guy that has towed the rubber for the Indians without a doubt.
Corey Dickerson serving as the DH tonight. Pulls it foul up the first base side. A lot of times in National League play, Dickerson is one of their key guys to come off the bench as a pinch hitter. And with the DH spot available, he gets the start tonight.
Well, that's the
good
fun
breaking
thing for
ball.
him.
Brings him up, 2 down. Boy, Rick, this is a perfect backdoor breaking ball.
Yeah, and you know, these guys haven't faced Kluber before, so they're going to take a while to get a look at him. In 2 strikes, you can see the good slider that he has. It drops right into the zone. He gets his first strikeout tonight, his 84th on the year. I told you he was second in the league in that department. He was behind David Price by 1, so he's tied with him now.
Well, up comes the Major League's top hitter, Troy Tulowitzki, batting .369 on the year. Pulls it to third. Big hop for Chisenhall. Throws him out. And a 1-2-3 first inning for Corey Kluber. The Indians are coming to bat when we come back. Francona and the Tribe tonight, brought to you by Progressive. Michael Bourn in the leadoff spot, followed by Asdrubal Cabrera. Michael Brantley with an 18-game hitting streak here at Progressive Field, tied for the longest streak in this ballpark. Jason Kipnis, then Lonnie Chisenhall, followed by Jason Giambi. Then it's Yan Gomes, David Murphy, and Jesus Aguilar.
GMC starting pitcher Juan Nicasio is 5-2 this year, making his 11th start. .361 ERA. He's 2-2 on the road. He has pitched one other time against the Indians. That came June 20th here right in Cleveland. He went 4 2/3 innings. He gave up 6 runs and 7 hits. And he got a no decision because there was a guy on that team that had 3 RBIs. That was Giambi for him then. Our key at defense is Gonzalez in left, Blackmon in center, Kadire in right. Culberson at third, Tulowitzki at short. LeMahieu is at second. Morneau is at first with Rosario behind the plate.
Michael Bourn steps in, ready to get it going for Cleveland. And Juan Nicasio's first pitch down low for ball one. Bourne with a hit in 11 of his last 12 games. Since May 17th, he's hit .346. Picked up his 1,000th career hit the other night in Chicago. And a smash into center field, a base hit for Michael Bourne to start the game. Tribe gets their leadoff man aboard here in the first.
There's a fastball right there down the middle. Able to get a hold of it, drill it right back up the middle.
And up comes Asdrubal Cabrera. Banged up Indian shortstop. Sidelined for a few games on the road trip with a bum knee and a bad wheel. Just one hit in his last 22 at-bats. And it's outside for ball one. So Asdrubal Cabrera on the year has the same number of hits on the road and at home, 23 each. Fouled right back. Michael Bourne on the year with 4 steals. He's been caught 3 times. And Cabrera taking.
We're getting to that time of the year, Matt. That sun comes in, and the first baseman, the base stealer, everybody's looking into the sun. As that pitcher is holding the runner on, you can see they're still bathing in sun over at first. That's a tough look right there. That gives you a real good vantage point.
You almost think it's got to be harder for the first baseman on a throw from third, anything that gets in the air. Cabrera strikes out, 1 away.
Looks like he elevated a little. They were sitting inside. The ball actually runs away. That had some great run to it because Rosario was sitting on the inside part of the plate. Cabrera ended up chasing that ball off the plate, but elevated.
Now up comes Michael Brantley. He's hit in 14 consecutive games. And as I mentioned when we ran down the starting lineups, 18 in a row here at home. That's the longest streak in Progressive Field history by an Indian, shared by Kenny Lofton and Robbie Alomar.
So he'll hold it by himself if he gets one here, huh? Or gets one tonight.
Yep. Elvis Andrus has the longest overall streak. He's hit in 22 games in a row here. He's hit in every game he's ever played against Cleveland.
Right.
Which is 37, and that's unbelievable, too.
And 22 of those coming right here.
Yeah.
I thought they had him down to his last at-bat. I think it was last year.
I think you're right.
And then he ended up getting a base hit. He was down to his last at-bat in one game.
Not that that's something that's on his mind when he's playing.
No, by no means.
1-0 pitch. Down in the dirt. Willie and Rosario able to block that to keep Bourne at bay. During Michael Brantley's 14-game hitting streak, he's batted .393. This isn't one of those get a hit to keep the streak alive kind of deals. He's been swinging it very well. He also had an 11-game hitting streak earlier this year. Nick Markakis has the longest streak so far this season with the Orioles. He hit an 18 in a row.
Not just Michael's approach, he's consistent. You know, you may stop him. The best anybody has pitched him this year has been the San Francisco Giants when we went on that West Coast trip. Other than that, he has been so consistent.
2-1. Caught the outside corner.
Boy, he has been aiming for the outside corner a lot in the first 3 hitters.
Michael Brantley steps away. Terry Francona's club has had their struggles on the road, but one thing about the Indians, they have been able to play very well at home. Their winning percentage of .577 is the best home winning percentage in the American League. Fouled right back. And while it's a good home winning percentage, it's not outstanding, and it just tells you nobody in the American League is really having a lot of success at home this year.
Well, you look at Miami; they've got a 20-8 home, winning percentage.
Giants are 19-9.
Yeah, and Colorado is 16-7. But you're right. Usually, by the end of the year, you see teams with 50, 52, 54 wins.
Brantley bangs it to first, backhanded by Morneau. Throws to second to get Bourne. The return throw not in time, and Brantley hobbled a little bit as he had to leap over Morneau, who was kind of sprawled all over the bag. Hopefully he's okay. The Indians can ill afford any more injuries at this point.
He's
Brantley has bent over way down the right field line. He's trying to walk it off.
Don't know how he landed.
Out comes Terry Francona and James Quinlan. They're going to take a look at him.
Well, I didn't think they had a chance, especially when Morneau comes up. I thought they were going to get one, but Tulowitzki goes ahead to try and turn it. What, did he trip over his foot there? Going over the top of it.
I almost think maybe it's when he landed, Rick.
Let's see. One. Yeah, maybe it was when he landed that second stride, something in that knee. I don't think he made contact with Morneau.
No, it looked like it was clean, but because of Morneau and being at the bag, Michael didn't want to get tangled up. And Terry Francona is looking him square in the eye and making sure that he's okay. You can almost read his lips saying, "Are you sure?"
Yeah,
very sternly.
He'll see how it feels. Boy, they certainly could not afford to lose him. Ooh. For any time. He's going down the line, and he's got the play in front of him. He thought he was going to beat it out, but then what happened, Morneau he had the flag block, the back part of it, and Brantley wanted to jump over there, and I think when he landed on his second step that I don't know if it was like a hyperextension or what to his knee, but he seems to be okay.
Well, he's aboard with 2 down now, and Jason Kipnis the batter. Kipnis returned to the lineup in the series finale in Chicago after spending time on the disabled list, missing a month of action just about. And a pitch outside for ball 1. Nicasio with a strike to even the count at 1-1. And he chased one down to fall behind 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You see, he throws that split changeup right there, and he also has the slider, a 2-seamer, 4-seamer, but that is his off-speed changeup when he uses the splitter.
Missed outside with it, not by much, 2-2. Kipnis back to even in the count as the Indians bat with 2 down in the first. Missed in off the plate. So a full count now. Morneau telling Nicasio he's going to back up behind Michael Brantley, who will be off with his payoff pitch. And we'll keep an eye on him to see how he's running. And hopefully he's A-OK, but you just never know. The payoff pitch is lined to right center field. Brantley hits second. He's on his way to third. Ball's cut off by BLACKMON. And the Indians have runners at the corners with 2 down as Kipnis gets his first hit since coming back off the disabled list and going back to his time before he was on the DL. It snaps an 0 for 15 for him.
I'll tell you, when I was watching Brantley, he got a breaking ball right there, and he sure wasn't pushing it, maybe realizing that that ball wasn't going to get into the gap. He was going to get to third easily. But you see, he's just cruising right there. He's not running hard at all. But he wasn't going to score anyway. So it's
but also
first
there
and
was
third.
Also no noticeable limp. That's a great sign. So 2 down, Lonnie Chisenhall the batter. Lonnie batting .358 on the year. Trying to give the Indians the early lead with a 2-out hit. And a strike called. Nicasio delivers. Chisenhall rifles it into left field, a base hit. Brantley will score, and the Indians will play from in front tonight as they take a 1-0 lead on the 11th run batted in of the year for Lonnie Chisenhall. And the Indians get that 2-out RBI hit.
Yeah, that's always good to get it out of the way early. And what happens is Chisenhall does it in his first at-bat. This is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it. Got to love 2-out RBIs. And Chisenhall goes the other way, as he so often has this year. Bloops it in there, gets an RBI, keeps the inning going. First and second, 2 outs, Tribe up 1-0.
And now the former Rocky, Jason Giambi. Giambi has 3 hits on the year. 2 of them have been home runs. And takes a strike. The 0-1 pitch, missed outside with it. The last time Juan Nicasio pitched against the Indians. He didn't fare all that well, but Jason Giambi bailed him out. He drove in 3 runs against the Indians that night.
Well, he's got a chance to drive in 3 for the Indians tonight.
Had a good cut, fouled it back, and it's 1-2. Jason Kipnis, who singled, is at second. Lonnie Chisenhall, who drove in a run with 2 outs, is at first base. Rockies 3-man shift on the right side. You ask the Rockies about Jason Giambi, and they glow just as those of us who have been around the Indians during Jason's tenure here. Well respected. He was a finalist for the Rockies managerial position that ultimately went to Walt Weiss. The 2-2. Just missed outside and a full count. I think Nicasio is thinking he had strike 3.
No,
it was outside.
It's outside. I mean, Giambi knows the strike zone. He may want it, but you're not going to get it. Not to a veteran hitter, and he's been trying to pound that outside corner to the left-handers.
He might have just been more frustrated with execution of the pitch.
Yeah, because that ball had some run to it, running away.
Runners go, and a 3-2 ball is grounded into the shift. LeMahieu from the outfield grass throws him out. The Indians come out with 3 hits here in the opening frame. Lonnie Chisenhall's 2-out single as the Tribe in front, 1-0. By your Northeast Ohio Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. Indians grab an early 1-0 lead. And as we go to the second inning, let's look at our stat of the game brought to you by Buick. Shutdown inning opportunities for Corey Kluber. The last 9 times the Indians have scored in the very next inning. This is what he has done. Included in that, he has struck out the side 3 times.
Well, that's doing your job, trying to put a 0 on the board after your offense scores. 15 punch-outs.
Carlos Gonzalez will lead off the second inning for the Rockies, and the pitch is low and away for ball 1. Cargo, as he is known to the Rocky faithful, is batting .262 on the year. 100 points higher at home. He's hitting .363 at Coors Field.
Boy, you look at their whole team. The whole team is hitting 100 points higher at home. They hit 344 in their home ballpark, 242 on the road. We know that air is a little thinner, and they love to play, but they're 16-7 at home. But this guy is strange because he's a great hitter, and you would expect him to be hitting for a little better average. This guy, when he gets hot, he can hit it with the best of them.
Missed inside.
He's been traded a number of times for as good as he is. Was with Oakland, the Diamondbacks. I think he was even in Chicago.
Upstairs with the heater and a count 3-1. Gonzalez says, quote, I haven't gotten to the point where I'm getting a lot of hits, doing a lot of damage. That's how this game is. I continue to work, and I know it will happen soon. I'm not worried about it. And he'll draw a leadoff walk here in the second. Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. Nolan Arenado on the DL, and that's a tough break because he was having a fantastic season for the Rockies and one of the real good up-and-coming young players.
Brett Anderson, who they got from Oakland, he's on the DL again. Seems like he's always been on it.
Longtime Minnesota Twin Michael Kadire. Indians have seen their fill of him over the years.
Yeah, they'll be facing the back-to-back hitters now with another one on deck.
Kadire, a .326 average. One ball, one strike.
There's Justin Morneau. He ended up going to Pittsburgh last year and as a free agent signed with the Rockies, and what a deal they got for him.
Well, it seems like he's finally healthy.
Well, he is. He's back to where he used to be, and Kadire did a lot of politicking to get him over there.
Slowly chopped but foul, third base side.
You know, both those guys grew up in the Twins organization. Both of them very good players. They grew up learning how to play the game the right way on the tail end of their career, but still both playing very well.
The Rockies trying to get rolling early offensively. That's been their calling card this year. They've outscored the opposition by 32 runs in the first 4 innings of their games this year. Swing and a miss. Kluber gets his second strikeout tonight. One down in the second inning. Last Saturday, the Rockies in Atlanta taking on the Braves, and Arenado going into second base. And that finger, you could see him immediately grab it back. Ouch.
Yeah, you hit that base, you hit his knee, you go in hand first.
Yeah.
And
almost
really,
looked like, Rick, it wasn't the bag, but when he jammed it into the leg of the
not a lot
fielder.
of good things can happen. Usually, if something happens, it is going to be a jammed finger, a broken finger, wrist.
Justin Morneau. Justin Morneau, along with his teammate Charlie Blackmon and the Indians' Michael Brantley, represent 3 of the 4 left-handed hitters in Major League Baseball this year who are batting .300 or better and have each driven in 30 or more runs.
So 3 out of the 4 in this game, huh?
And the only other on the list, Robinson Cano, and we know how good he is. So those 3 guys, as pure left-handed hitters, are having terrific seasons. Up and away, a ball and 2 strikes.
Well, Morneau's a guy that he's beaten up the Indians for years.
Michael has more RBIs than all of those guys. And tonight he scored the game's only run to this point. 1-2 pitch. Tried to wrap it around the outside corner, but just missing. And the count even at 2-2.
I think Moreno's last year in Minnesota, he had a 20 RBI year against the Indians where he did a lot of damage. He has 105 in his career.
Fouled back. Boy, you know, the Indians have Carlos Santana currently on the 7-day concussion disabled list. And you think about how much time Justin Morneau lost due to the concussion syndrome.
Boy, it was a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it was just lingering effects that he just could not get over. He'd get close, he'd get on the field, he'd start doing activities, and it would just all come rushing back.
Didn't his happen with a knee by John McDonald at second base?
Yep. Line to second, caught by Kipnis. And there are 2 down. He hit it hard, but Jason Kipnis able to snare that line drive.
Well, hit right on the nose, but right into the tracks of Jason Kipnis. He just holds on to it. I don't think he had it in his glove completely where he could go in and get it out of there.
Secure the out first, right?
Oh, absolutely. Make sure 1 before you try and get 2. That ball was hammered. It was hit pretty hard, but he backhanded it and just didn't have the feeling in the glove, I don't think.
Here is WILIN Rosario, the Rockies catcher. Swung out and missed. 5 of the first 6 Rockies in their batting order are all 300 or better in average. And then you've got Rosario, who's hitting .228, followed by Charlie Culberson batting $194.
Someone has to make the outs in that lineup. Everybody can't hit 300, can they?
The 1-1 pitch. Trying to think, Rick. It was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I want to say the Angels came in here late in the season. They had all 9 guys were 300 or better.
You were, yes. Good memory. It was August.
That was impressive to see that.
Hitting 300.
Kluber's 2-1 pitch. Popped him up.
That's going to stay in play.
Playable here. Aguilar into foul territory. Makes the catch. 2 scoreless for Corey Kluber. And the Indians lead it 1-0. Nothing as we go to the bottom of the second inning. Our great clip of the game. Let's go back to Wednesday. Yan Gomes in the clutch, 9th inning. Got the base hit that would tie the game for the Indians. Unfortunately, they would fall in the bottom of the 9th, but Gomes with one of the only clutch hits in that series for the Indians as they were swept in Chicago. Indians on the board early, though, with a tally in the first inning. And Gomes, David Murphy, and Jesus Aguilar will bat here in the second.
For Nicasio, right-handers hitting just .230 off him this year. Gomes and then Aguilar are the only two right-handers he's going to face in this lineup tonight.
Nicasio says that he feels he's pitching better because, quote, I'm controlling my fastball and pitching to contact instead of trying to strike everybody out.
Well, that helps. How many times you heard that? Pitching coaches say, you know, try and get outs 3 pitches, 4 pitches or less.
Pitch outside.
Well, we reverted back and the same thing happened with KLUBER. If you remember, get back on track, try and get outs with 3 or 4 pitches or less. Yeah. And what happens, he's been ahead of so many hitters that he ends up getting the strikeout because he makes quality pitches and he expands their zone.
Gomes beats it into the ground up the middle. Tulowitzki spins and throws, and Gomes is out at first.
They want to check.
And
look
Sandy
at Gomes.
Alomar says, I've got a hit here.
Well, Gomes pointed down, and out comes Tito. He felt he beat it. No question about it, and that's Bob Davidson down there.
Well, Sandy Alomar immediately pointed down at the bag as if to say he beat the play. And Gomes seconded the motion. Let's take a look on the replay.
Tulowitzki turns and in one step gets rid of it. Well, you know that high. Did you see that last step by Gomes? He jumps at the bag.
He's out, I think. Boy,
you
that's
know
hard
what?
to see.
It is because his leg. But did you see that last step that really went out there and came down?
Ball's in the glove and foot's on the bag.
It's going to be a challenge. You see the glove, it's hard to see it close or the ball in there.
The Indians will challenge the ruling on the field. This might be a tough one to get overturned, however. Well, you're right, Rick, too. The long last lunge by Gomes.
It was a long stride to get there. You know, and I just think he knew he had to get there. He couldn't take 2 jab steps, so he took 1 long step to get there. And if anything, it may have cost him. I'm going to say it's going to be tough to get this overturned.
Well, Bob Davidson, who made the call at first base, is the crew chief.
Boy, again, another close call.
You know, it looks like the ball is in the glove ever so slightly before that foot gets to the bag. But it's very difficult to determine. And it didn't look like there was a juggle. It looked like Morneau had it cleanly in the glove. So they continue to look at it in New York.
You know what? The longer it takes, the tougher it's going to be to get it overturned. He's out.
So the call is confirmed by replay. And Gomes is out number 1. And so that means the Indians are out of challenges. Just like that.
Well, it's a leadoff hitter in the inning, and you can see how close it was. And I'm thinking that last step, that one long lunge, it was tough for him to get there. It was bang, bang, but they couldn't overturn it.
David Murphy batting .268 on the year. Pitch outside, and it's 2-1. Murphy with a hit in each of his last 2 games, and he has continued to enjoy hitting here at Progressive Field, where he has always swung the bat well, even as a visiting player. Slammed that one over in front of the Rockies dugout, sent him scattering. Might have bent the screen a little. 2-2. Outside on a full count. It's his 3rd full count so far tonight. The 8th batter he has faced.
Well, good thing he's pitching a contact, though. 3 out of 8. Well, he hasn't missed by a whole lot.
Out of play.
Want to send along a very happy birthday wish. Happy 13th to Liam Gallagher from Avon Lake.
Liam can't wait for the school year to end, I'm sure.
Well, it's coming. It should be really soon. What, this week?
Yeah,
I think this is the last week.
Wednesday is the last day in Avon Lake. Out of play. 3-2. The count remains on Murphy. Well, Nicasio is last time out. 6 shutout innings against Atlanta, but he's failed to get into the 6th inning 4 times in his 10 starts. Bounced up the middle, fielded by LeMahieu, and there are 2 down. Don't forget to tweet your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have them shown during our telecast. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Jesus Aguilar will bat with 2 down in the 2nd inning. Weak ground ball towards first, backhanded by Morneau. Long flip. And the inning is over. The Indians go 1-2-3. And we'll go to the 3rd. Cleveland 1, Colorado 0.
Game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, audio scores, the free MLB TV Game of the Day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Indians.com.
For the Rockies here in the third inning, their number 8 hitter, Charlie Culberson, will lead it off. Fastball ran inside for ball 1. Here at home, the Indians have won 3 in a row, 6 out of 9. And hopefully that's just what this team needs to get them back on track again. They started off that road trip winning 2 of the first 3 against Baltimore, but fell flat in the series finale to earn a split, and then went to Chicago and just couldn't score. And that's really been the story for this club over the last month. Get close to 500,
yeah,
and then fall back. And it's just constantly fighting uphill.
Yeah, they got to within 2 games. And 28 times this year, 3 or fewer, 3 runs or less in a ball game. And they played, this is game number 55 now.
Swing and a miss. Kluber has his 3rd strikeout tonight.
Kluber, a great slider, and you're going to get a good look at it on our Wendy slow motion replay right there. That ball goes down and away. You can see how the right-handers see it. And good bite, good tilt to it. And a guy will come up and swing and miss again.
Ran it inside. Bob Davidson says, yes, you want around.
Well, Kluber, a guy that always gets the swings and misses. Last 17 pitches, 8 swings and misses.
And a strike called. DJ LeMahieu. .269 average on the year, but like so many of the Rockies away from Coors Field, a much different story. He's batting just .220 on the road so far this year. Wow, that went into the seats, and everybody ducks and gets out of the way.
Gets back on the field.
He got him. Kluber with his 4th strikeout tonight, fanning the first 2 here in the 3rd inning. This is what Colorado has done home versus road this year. The batting average 100 points lower on the road, and look at the difference in runs scored.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Well, that ball
but that's
carries.
not taken away from the fact that they've got good hitters either. It's not
no,
like
they can still swing the bat, no question about it. But it's a little different once you hit the road.
Pulled foul.
I mean, isn't that the key though? If you can go out and dominate in your home park, and if you can go play 500 on the road, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
The point is, they're not playing 500 on the road, at least not yet. They're down 600. That's one thing that's given the Indians problems. They're 9-19 on the road.
And the team that's hard to figure out in their division is the Dodgers. With all their payroll and all their hype, L.A. is under 500 at Dodger Stadium. They're 11-15 at home.
Well, and you know, this is about the time they took off last year when they had a 50-game sprint. And I think people are expecting them to do it again.
Hard to count on that, though, isn't it?
Well, yes, it is. Yeah, you can't win 42. What was it? 42 out of 50 or something like that.
Yeah, it was something. Did they go 42-8? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was ridiculous. But you know, to play that kind of baseball, you can't expect that every year. Correct. But I mean, they can get hot with their pitching staff, and if they start playing well.
1-2 pitch. Struck him out looking. Blackmon doesn't like it, but he'll take a seat. Kluber strikes out the side here in the third inning. And the Indians lead it 1-0. Cold one. Stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Bottom of the third, top of the order, due up for Cleveland. It will be Michael Bourn, Asdrubal Cabrera, and Michael Brantley. Bourn led off the game with a single. Michael now with a hit in 12 of his last 13 games. Fastball strike on the inside corner to even the count. On a play. Juan Nicasio, the starter tonight for Colorado, features a splitter that we saw earlier in the ball game, and we had a great second look from our center field camera. And we're going to visit coming up here next inning with Paul Shuey.
He had a nice splitter.
Who could you could make guys look foolish with that splitter.
Well, his was about 6 or 7 mile an hour faster than this guy throws his, and
boy, Nicasio just pitch. Straight heat right there. Second strikeout of the night.
Four-seamer above the hands, and he gets the strikeout. His second strikeout. Great location. I mean, it's a four-seamer right there. You see how he had to pull those hands in, and you're just not quick enough when you put it right there at the belt. Tough to get it through. You hope to foul it off. He didn't. Out number one in the third.
One down, and Asdrubal Cabrera will be the batter. He went down swinging his first time up. almost hit him. I'm not sure how he got out of the way. That looked like it was bearing in on his shoulder. He was able to just turn narrowly out of the way. Chased a high heater there and a count 1-1. Now the 1-1. Got a piece of that. But the count now, a ball and 2 strikes for Cabrera. Today and tomorrow will wrap up the month of May for the Indians, and they're sitting right now at 500 on the month, 13-13. He got time called just as Nicasio was about to start into his windup. Pulls it to first. Easy play for Morneau. 2 down. Time for a Mazda game break. Back to the studios. Here's Al Pulaski.
Matt, Rick, tonight in New York, the Twins in town to take on the Yankees. Oswaldo Arcia hits this home run here, his 3rd of the year, to get Minnesota on the board first and the second. New York just tied it up with a base hit in the bottom of the 3rd, so they're even at 1, bottom of the 3rd in New York. Matt?
All right, here's Michael Brantley with 2 down, and the base is empty. That's pulled foul. We talked earlier about the Indians in their quest to get back to the 500 mark this month. Twice they've been within 2 games. Back on May the 11th, they won to get to 18-20 and then lost 5 out of the next 6. Recently in Baltimore, on May 22nd, they won to get to within 2 games of 500, and they've lost 5 of the last 6.
Wow.
So it's happened twice in the month. It's like that cartoon where you're pushing a rock up the hill
and
the rock rolls back all the way down. You got to start all over again.
Well, that's what happens sometimes when you finally you got to get to the break-even point, and that's 500, and then you go to work. And sometimes it's just awfully tough to get there. But boy, you've got to get there soon. The sooner the better. Because the Indians are playing a stretch of road games, a lot of road. It seems like every homestand we have now is for 6 days or 7 games at the most, and then you're back out for 7 to 10. But
well, the silver lining, and I understand you're always looking for the silver lining when you're struggling. Last year they were under 500 in June. As late as the middle of late June, or might have even been early July. But you can't always count on, well, it happened last year, it's going to happen again this year.
Yeah, but you have right now, you have Detroit playing better this year than they were last year at that time, too, when they were under 500. They weren't that far off. They're 10 games over that 500 mark now.
Yeah. Well, let's face it, the Indians, as they slumped, that's when they sent Detroit into a tailspin, and they had a great chance to make up some ground on the Tigers. But that's when they started to slip backwards, too. There's no question that there is still a lot of baseball left to be played, and there's no reason to panic. But what you're looking for is signs that this team is going to start moving back up the hill and getting up over that 500 mark. Squibb towards third. Culberson throws him out, and the Indians go 1-2-3. 3 complete from Progressive Field. It's the Indians 1 and the Rockies nothing. Progressive Field, the Indians have a 1-0 lead over the Colorado Rockies. Time now for our Hear Right Audiology Sounds of the Game. And we welcome back Paul Shuey, former Indians reliever, back here as part of the Indians Alumni Ambassador Program. How you doing?
I'm doing good. It's cool to be back.
When's the last time you've been here?
Came last year for the charity golf tournament.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a fishing tournament this year. You want to come?
That would be
there
right
in a
outside.
heartbeat.
Yeah.
We got to get Len Barker to take you out for that one.
I came up and did a tournament up in Buffalo not too long ago, and that was cool.
Corey Kluber leading off with a pitch outside to Corey Dickerson. Here in the fourth inning, Tribe with a 1-0 lead. So you came to the Tribe via North Carolina, and that's where you make your home now in the offseason, in post-career days?
Yeah, I had to keep a nice home base, you know.
Now, you were just sharing with me before we came on the air that you're an assistant soccer coach these days?
Yeah. Yeah, when you have 3 daughters, I think it changes some things, you know. If I'd have had 3 boys, I'd probably still be in the middle of baseball.
Yeah, that's true, too.
How are you enjoying that?
I love it. I mean, it's still sport, you know. Sometimes it's fun to just kind of, you know, change. You know, I don't know anything about soccer, so I've been figuring it out. Got a crash course this year. And, you know, they look at you a little funny.
It's spending the time with the kids and having an opportunity. That's what makes it all worthwhile, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And we did really well, so it was a lot of fun.
Kluber looked like he threw a cutter inside there that Dickerson hammered. That's the hardest ball hit tonight by the Rockies. Goes down into the corner for a double, his 6th of the year.
And now Kluber's got to deal with Troy Tulowitzki with a runner in scoring position. Do you still follow the game, Paul? Do you watch it on TV at home?
Just really started over the last probably year and a half. You know, once after sliding over to Baltimore and confirming the fact that I need to be done. It's been a little bit slow, but you know, lately I've been watching it all the time. Anytime the wife comes in, I'm flipping into another game.
Yeah, well, I mean, you love watching it now. You get back into it, something that you like to see.
Was it hard though at first when you knew your career was over? Was it hard to turn on a TV and watch a game?
It's still hard to watch certain teams that still have too many guys hanging around that you played against. You know, and if they weren't friends of yours, it's really hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there comes a point in time in everybody's life where you have to realize the game's over with, whether you're a pitcher or a position player. And I think the quicker you can accept it, the easier it is to move on.
That's it.
Does 8th grade count in that fact?
Well, no, not really. Yeah, if you're about 18 and you're an 8th.
Look at that. There's the old Shuey jersey.
How about that?
Except you were 5'3", weren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, he couldn't count.
I think when I tried to make the comeback, throwing about 80 in that spring training, I was at 55 that year.
All right, I want to get your opinion now of the way the game's gone. There's another nice play there by Chisenhall.
One down.
You know, the bullpen has become such a big part of baseball right now. Like the Indians, they have 8 guys coming out of that bullpen now, and it's amazing. When we had a great bullpen and some power arms, and now you see a lot of bullpen stocked with power arms like you guys used to have here in matchups with Assenmacher and everybody else.
Right.
What do you see differently?
The biggest thing I see, I think the best bullpens are the ones that are pretty balanced to where you have a guy, you know, I was watching the other day, and what's the guy with the Yankees that's been doing so well?
Robertson?
No, it's a big guy. He's striking the world out right now.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, they'll bring him in the 5th or the 6th, and they need a strikeout, and he'll strike him out. I forget what his name is. A guy we haven't heard of. I mean, they just called him up this year.
But when I was watching, they were just talking about the fact that, you know, bringing a guy like that in a bases-loaded situation, whether you should or shouldn't be doing something like that, a strikeout guy.
Betances is his name.
Yep, that's it. Yep. And, you know, you're watching stuff like that, and you just really
that's in the gap. Look out. And it's gone. Carlos Gonzalez with his 8th home run of the year. He said that he's starting to feel better. He feels like he's going to start heating up here. You hope it doesn't happen this weekend, but that home run puts Colorado on top now, 2-1.
What was that pitch?
I'm thinking it was a fastball. Let's take a look at it and see where he left it, because Kluber usually he left that one up. Looked like a little two-seamer.
Yeah.
Going away, and this guy gets great extension. I was amazed when I looked at his numbers here, because he's one of the best hitters in the league over there, but that one didn't take long to get out of here. That's his 8th home run.
Well, Kluber's been really impressive tonight, you know.
He's got great stuff. It's been a treat watching him pitch. He's got a great, slider, a nice little four-seamer. He's got a nice makeup with everything.
Well, and he's simple, you know.
Yes, he is, and very consistent.
Yep.
Michael Kadire struck out his first time up. Shu, the split was a big pitch for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost seems that fewer and fewer guys are throwing it now. Did it ever cause you problems physically?
No, and I think the difference is between a split and a forkball. There's a lot of guys that were throwing forkballs that giving them trouble because they really split their fingers, real wide. And the key is to just not really split them that wide. I would take a little bit more, a little bit less, but I never really forked it, so I could throw it hard, and that was the key. It's really just
91. You'd throw yours. Yeah, you'd throw your little split at 91.
And then that, it just became a good pitch that you could kind of throw anytime in the count because you're just throwing something it's got a little bit more movement to it.
Something to take them off your fastball, essentially, right?
You got it. You throw one catch-up fastball to where they, try to get a foul off, and then throw a breaking ball in there, and then they got to chase.
The eye level.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they got to chase. So, you kind of earn it. But, yeah, I think that was the biggest thing from a health standpoint. Not splitting that too far.
Nice play by Aguilar, and there are 2 down here in the 4th. So it sounds to me like you're based on your perception. There's some misconceptions about the split.
Yeah.
And the fact that it could possibly be a pitch that harms the arm.
Well, if you just treat it like a sinker, and if you look out, like you get 10 guys and you say, how do you hold your sinker? You're going to see guys that have their fingers split a little bit more, and that takes a little of the speed off, and then you're going to have other guys that have it close together. There's a lot of different ways, but if you just kind of start playing with that and seeing what kind of action you can get on it. The key to me is the fact that you have tight spin on your split. Then it's impossible to pick up. Then how are you going to lay off of it?
You can't. You got to swing because you think it's a fastball. And when Roger Craig first started teaching that pitch, he was a pitching coach for the Giants. Those guys used to, split them. It was like a forkball, like you said. And that's where all the elbows blew out.
And when you were looking at it, what did it do?
Well,
it's almost knuckling.
Yeah,
it's like
it tumbled down,
like a hard knuckle, and that is extremely hard on your elbow. So, it's a pitch that if you're willing to take chances with your elbow, maybe a later in a career big leaguer or something, maybe he plays with that. But for me, it's certainly nothing that I'd want a lot of young kids pitching.
Nicasio throws one tonight. We looked into his glove, and he's got a splitter, but it's not really split. It's just a little. And like you say, you play with it. You got to get a feel for it.
Kluber strikes out Morneau, looking to end the top half of the 4th, but the 2-run homer by Carlos Gonzalez has the Rockies in front, 2-1. Here at Progressive Field, going to the bottom of the fourth inning. Tribe down a run, 2-1 our score. Jason Kipnis, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Jason Giambi due up for the Tribe. Matt Underwood, Rick Manning as always, and we're joined by Paul Shuey, and in town, part of the Indians Alumni Ambassador Program, and great to have him back. And, you know, we were talking about you get out of the game, and there's almost like a divorce that you have to go through. You have to reconcile and get over the fact that the career's over. Do you keep in touch, though, with guys that you played with? Do you get on the horn and call up different teammates that you played with over the years?
I really haven't done much of that. You know, I think part of it for me was, you know, North Carolina was always home base, and there just wasn't a lot of, you know, there weren't a lot of guys that were down there. And, you know, stayed in touch with Fryman. Fryman and I were tight when we were here, and, you know, just really enjoyed him. And so, you know, we've talked a little bit there, and then, you know, randomly run into here and there, but I just don't. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like a divorce.
Well, and you know, once you play, it's like high school. All right, you see kids for a couple of years, but after that, you don't see them anymore.
Right.
You know, unless they live around your neighborhood, or you go out and you do something, you know, or you're coaching and you run into them in a baseball facility. That's really how you keep track with people.
I remember in spring training one year, you were gracious enough to take me out on a little fishing excursion, you and Pat Borders and Chad O.J.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good trio. You guys caught a lot of fish. I did a lot of watching.
Well, they know. He's always had a boat. When I was coaching down in spring training, he had a boat when we were staying at Greenleaf, and it'd be parked out there and go out after you work out, right?
Absolutely.
He was the best fisherman around.
Spring training was the absolute deal. You go work your butt off in the morning, you come out, and
all the lakes they had down there in Central Florida.
Borders knew everybody.
Yeah,
you know,
he did.
He had farms and people and whatever. So we were back in the truck down.
That's like living a dream there, isn't it?
Yeah, it was nice.
Paul Shuey opens up his tackle box, folks, and it looks like a surgeon going to work. You had a lure for anything that was in the water, I think.
Well, it is, you know, it's a nice little chess match.
Do you still enjoy it? Is it still a good hobby for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still doing some tournaments here and there, and still into it. You know, I enjoy it, but it's just come into a period of time. My middle daughter is, you know, playing a lot of club soccer, and it's just hard to keep track of all of it. And then because her club coach asked me to go, you know, do the assistant coach over at Barton, and that's eating some time up, you know.
Priorities.
But it's been enjoyable.
Priorities, yeah.
My little 7-year-old's killing it. It's been a lot of fun to watch her playing it, you know. So trying to learn something about it so I don't sound so silly when I'm talking about it.
Well, you've been blessed with 3 girls. Wait a few years, Dad. You're in trouble, baby.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, goodness.
3-1 to count here for Lonnie Chisenhall, drove in the Indians' only run in the first. Rolls this one over to first base. And 2 down here in the fourth. When you come back here and you step into the ballpark, is it mostly good memories that you have of playing here, pitching here?
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's funny because, I mean, when I think back, all I could think of back to is bad stuff if I'm sitting at home. You know, I just think about giving up a home run here or, you know, giving up a hit. But when I get back here, I think more about the success. And I don't know why that is, but I just you kind of always focus on the bad so you can get better. And
well, I always think that's the hard part about being a late inning reliever, which you were, because when something goes wrong, that's all anybody wants to talk about. Yeah. When you do your job, it's like, well, he was supposed to get him out, but when you don't,
right,
the world came to an end.
Well, it's a game of failure. You know, it really is, and the people that can deal with that are the guys that can, you know, succeed and stick around for a long time. But that's why it's so tough. You got to have a good deal of, you know, thinking your crap don't stink.
Yeah, that and forget about what happened. Take your brain out and leave it.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, what happened here? I don't know, man. I know nothing. I plead the fifth.
Sergeant Schultz?
Yeah, I know nothing.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part about being a reliever was the fact that you could always come back the next day and make up for it.
Yeah, that's the great thing about baseball. There's always tomorrow.
That was smack.
Jason Giambi still swinging it, and a 2-out base hit keeps the inning alive.
Be nice to see him get going.
Yeah, stay healthy and he can start DHing, yes.
Yep.
I mean, this guy's 43 years old, still has great bat speed.
Well, and you know he's going to get a good at-bat.
Yeah.
You know he's going to see some pitches and knows when to take that that big cut. And
well, the thing of it last year when he spent time here, he was great in the clubhouse with the guys, and he could lead them and, you know, give them an idea of what's going on. But last year he hit some game-winning home runs and really had a chance to, you know, help them on the field as well. And if he can do that, it'd be spectacular again.
Paul, everybody always talks about, you know, the marathon of a baseball season. But then if you get into October baseball, it ratchets everything up. What about for a reliever? And, you know, most of the time you're coming in a situation where the game's on the line. How much different is postseason baseball from a reliever standpoint?
I know for me it was a big deal. I think the best thing that ever happened to me was the year that Manuel got me an inning in a blowout. We were blowing somebody out like 11-1, and I got my jitters out in the first outing, you know, and got to go out there and kind of get it out, and then it was off to the races the rest of that, you know, that whole playoff stretch.
Let you relax a little bit.
Yeah, it just kind of got that first one under you, and, you know, that's the one where the biggest nerves are there, and then it becomes baseball again.
Thanks for stopping by. Great to catch up with you.
No problem. Great seeing you guys.
Former Indians pitcher Paul Shuey with us. The Rockies lead the Indians 2-1 through 4. Baseball is brought to you by the all-new Sunnyside Chevrolet in Elyria. Sunny will save you money. By Levin Furniture. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. Two 2-1 Colorado as we go now to inning number 5. Good to see Paul Shuey back here in Cleveland.
Well, good to hear he's tuning back into baseball.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you think you can stay away from it for a while, but you know what? It's in the blood.
It's interesting you make that statement, Rick, because I was watching a little television earlier today and saw Peter Gammons. They were asking him about Manny Ramirez coming back and being hired by Theo Epstein in Chicago to be a player coach in the minors. And he said, you know, Manny Ramirez, Barry Bonds, there's talk that Sammy Sosa wants to get back in the game. These are 3 guys that made enough money that they don't need the game. They accomplish great things that they don't need the game, but they need the game.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, even though their playing career's over, and they had
all 3 of those guys, though, you know, implicated with the PEDs.
True, but it tells you that the game still draws them back.
It has to, man. They've lived their life, man. They grew up. I mean, it's in your blood. You can't get rid of that. No matter how hard you try, you can be on your own island. You don't need a thing in the world, but you know what? You need the game. I don't care if you have to watch it. You got to be a part of it. If you don't, there's something wrong with you.
How could you give that much of your life to something and then just simply one day
just
turn it off?
Walk away from it. You can't do it and be human.
Swing and a miss. Kluber with another strikeout. That's 7 on the night. And now 55 strikeouts in the month of May for Corey Kluber. That's the most strikeouts by an Indians pitcher in a calendar month since Dennis Eckersley fanned 60 in September of 1976.
How about that? Well, and both similar pitchers when you look at Kluber and Eckersley because they had great control. Eckersley more from 3/4 to a sidearm guy, but had a great sinking fastball and a good slider. Great control. Kluber the same thing. Great control. He has maybe more pitches than Eckersley had because he's got the big breaking ball, the changeup,
cutter,
and a cutter. Eckersley had a good movement and a slider. For the most part, he didn't mess around with a whole lot of changeup, but just impeccable control. And I think Kluber's in the same boat.
And Eck would probably say he had better hair.
And Eck was 2 different personalities. Eck had better hair, but
yeah, 2 completely.
I mean, cocky.
Eck was shooting guys
one
down,
was
right?
cocky, one was quiet. You know, one was bing. You know, when I who can ever forget when Ramirez, when he was pitching for Oakland, Eck hit a game winner off him, and he just walked off the mound and couldn't believe that guy hit that pitch, and he went, wow.
Yeah, he mouthed the words, and yeah. 2-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. There's that pitch that it's a fastball that has incredible movement on it as you take a look at the graphic.
Yeah, and the difference between him and Eck is Eckersley came up at 20, and in 76 he was 21 years old. Kluber's now 27. So Eck was doing it as a young kid, but Kluber, I'll tell you what, he hasn't taken a back seat to anybody this year.
2-2 the count on Charlie Culberson, who struck out his first time up. Mention the fact that on this current road trip, the Rockies have had a tough time losing 2 out of 3 to Atlanta, 2 out of 3 to Philly. Big reason why, lack of hitting with runners in scoring position. That home run by Gonzalez with Dickerson at second base, just their 5th hit in 49 at-bats with a runner in scoring position on this current road trip. Fastball got him looking. 8 Ks for Kluber. And so now he's done it in 6 straight starts.
Really is amazing. He gets his first one on a breaking ball. His second one, there's 3. There's 4. There's the fastball that they locked him up. Another backdoor breaking ball to Morneau. Slider that he chases. Guy's amazing. This one, next one, last one was called.
That one just missed for ball 1. You saw the graphic there. The last right-handed pitcher to strike out 8 or more in this many consecutive games was Bob Feller, who did it in 9 straight in 1946.
Wow, you're turning back the clock now.
Line drive, base hit into right field. Turning back the clock and talking about one of the greatest pitchers of all time.
Right.
So Kluber's put himself in some select company with the way he has pitched this year, but that 2-run homer has him on the short end right now. And Charlie Blackmon, 0 for 2 on the night, will be the batter.
Kluber averaging over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings this year, and you can see why.
Well, I think it's interesting when you talk about getting ahead, trying to get them to put the ball in play or make an out on 3 pitches or less. If you get ahead, strikeouts come naturally. If you're trying to strike everybody out, that's usually when you end up with a high pitch count.
A high pitch count, yeah, and you leave balls over the plate. You try to be perfect, and you're pitching 5 innings and you're throwing 100 pitches. Well, we've seen Kluber where he completed a game against Kansas City with 101 pitches. He's been deep into a lot of different games, and that's when it all started for him. Is like Mickey was saying, get ahead. He throws about 70% strikes.
Line up the middle. It's beyond Cabrera's reach. LeMahieu stops at second base. And back-to-back singles here in the 5th with 2 out for the Rockies.
There's a breaking ball that Blackmon stayed back on. He got him with the fastball last time looking. And there's a line drive up over the glove of Cabrera. So back-to-back 2-out hits.
And Corey Dickerson, who doubled his last time up.
You know, I equate that, what we're talking about, get ahead of them, throw strikes, and you get your strikeouts. It's like a hitter. Get up, get a good at-bat, a quality. You put a good swing on the ball, the home runs will come. You know, whether you're a home run hitter or not. It's just put a good at-bat out there, and good things will happen.
Well, it's like a pitcher. You get yourself into a good hitter's count. Look for your pitch in a small zone. If you get it, that's like you said, that's when you're going to have opportunities.
And that's looking at it from both sides of the ball.
Now, Jason Giambi was telling me that before the game. You know, hitting home runs is about A, knowing the pitcher, B, knowing yourself, and getting yourself into those counts where you know you can do damage with certain pitches, and it all clicks. You're looking for something, you get it, you put your swing on it. And that's how they don't come up there from going up to the plate from the moment you dig your spikes in, going, I got to hit a home run here. It doesn't work that way.
And there's a guy you're talking about that has hit 440 of them. Let's talk about a guy that's only going to hit 50 or 75 of them. They come from good at bats, you know, and getting yourself into good counts. Doubles, there's nothing wrong with line drive. Doubles.
Kluber trying to work himself out of trouble. 75th pitch of the night. And it's 2-1. Well, as we said, a strike throwing machine normally. That's the case once again here tonight. Couple of borderline calls go the way of the Rockies hitters. And now Kluber behind 3-1. Had a full count.
Looked like Dickerson wanted to walk right there.
Sure did.
Jumped around and looked like he wanted to go and pass the buck to Tulowitzki. There's a ball moving on the outside, almost a perfect pitch. Had some movement going away. Maybe just a hair off, if anything. Big pitch here for Kluber.
Would he go back to that same pitch or try maybe the backdoor breaking ball here?
You know what? He's going to throw a pitch that he feels he can get him out with, whether it's the fastball or may come in with the slider. You got Tulowitzki on deck. He'd come back with the slider, maybe.
And a payoff pitch. Got him! He went chasing. 9th strikeout of the night for Corey Kluber. He fans 3 here in the 5th, and the Rockies strand a pair. It remains 2-1 Colorado. Chat baseball with Joe Reedy on Game Day Live. What's been the key to Lonnie Chisenhall's early success? And who's hot, who's not for the Lake County Captains? It's all on FoxSportsOhio.com. We go to the home half of the fifth with the Tribe down a run, 2-1. David Murphy, Jesus Aguilar, and Michael Bourn due up for the Tribe. Juan Nicasio following up a very good start his last time out with another good one here. Thus far, he's allowed just 1 run on 4 hits, and 3 of those 4 hits came in the first inning. Pitch outside corner, a called strike.
Well, he's been throwing that pitch all night long to the left-handers.
Slicing foul down the left side. His manager, Walt Weiss, says of Nicasio, I think physically Juan is stronger than he's ever been. That's because he got to train in the offseason. He didn't have to deal with injuries. And for Nicasio, he's had to overcome more than your garden variety elbow injury or sprained ankle. Back on August 6, 2011, Nicasio was struck by a line drive off the bat of Ian Desmond of the Washington Nationals. And it's about one of the most frightening moments that I've ever seen in a baseball game. Nicasio, when he was struck, as he went to the ground, it's as though he was out on his feet, even though he never lost consciousness. But he went down on the ground so hard that his forehead hit the mound first. And on impact, he suffered a broken neck.
Oh, boy.
And so first you've got the scare of a line drive that hit him in the temple. And then on impact, he broke his neck. And, you know, obviously the trainers rush out. The medical staff on the scene there was phenomenal, the job they did. But you're dealing with a potentially life-threatening situation. And
boy, I'm sure it had to be so scary for him.
when they did the surgery, I was told they took out 16 different bone fragments.
Wow.
Murphy slices one foul. So a C1 fracture in the vertebrae in his neck. And they inserted screws and a small plate at the base of his skull, and that's all permanent. That stuff doesn't come out. It's amazing that this guy is back in pitching after
even
what
playing
he went through.
Right.
2-2 pitch. Got inside and fouled him off. I mean, you and I had the pleasure of working with Herb Score, and for older fans who remember Herb Score, you know, he was involved in a similar terrifying incident where he got hit in the eye by a line drive as a pitcher. He came back from that. But with Nicasio, you can see the scar in the back of his neck. It's a great story, but it's also amazing at the same time. Murphy, meanwhile, ropes one down the right field line. He's going to dig and go for 2. Kadyr's throw, not in time, and it's a leadoff double for David Murphy on a tremendous at-bat to start the inning.
Magic hands. That's what I call that guy. He's like a magician. Gets the 2 strikes, and I'm telling you, he'll put a swing on the ball. You'll say to yourself, are you kidding me? Look at that ball.
Wow.
And I mean, his feet stay right there, and it's just all hands. And he kept his hands back enough and just gets the bat through the hitting area, and I'll be darned if he doesn't hit another double. For Murphy, that's his 11th double. We've seen him go down the left field line that way. We see him pull the ball. He's got magic hands.
And now the Indians have the tying run in scoring position. Jesus Aguilar, 0 for 1, will be the batter. And he takes a called strike. He doesn't like it. Swung on and missed. It's 0-2. In the last 42 innings, that's only the Indians' second extra base hit. You had the solo home run by Jason Giambi the other night in Chicago, and that double by David Murphy. And that's what they've been missing, those doubles.
When we were in Baltimore, they were leading the league in doubles with 98. They just hit their 99th. So that goes to show you the drought that this lineup has had.
0-2 the count on Aguilar. He lays off a ball in the dirt. Tribe trying to come back down 2-1 here in the 5th. Aguilar 2 for 12 on the year with the Tribe. Lays off another nasty pitch down, and it's 2-2. And Nicasio at 80 pitches on the night. 52 out of his 80 have been for strikes. Out of play. Count stays 2-2. Top of the order, Michael Bourn waiting on deck. Murphy with the leadoff double takes his lead at second. And Aguilar drives one to center field. Well hit. Blackmon back on the track at the wall. And he makes the catch. Oh, a spectacular grab in center field by Charlie Blackmon as he took extra bases away from Jesus Aguilar. Murphy very alertly able to get back, tag at second, and go to third. But wow, what a play by Blackmon.
Yeah, it really was. This is his first time in this ballpark. He had it timed beautifully. Aguilar did his job, though. He was down 0-2 and battled to get back in, and he hit a deep fly ball to center.
I don't think it would have been a home run. But
no, it would have been close, but that's a good play. I mean, right up against the screen there. But Murphy tags up, goes to third base. It would not have been a home run, but it would have been extra bases had he not caught it. Murphy goes to third. Now up to Michael Bourn. He has a chance to tie the game.
Bourn struck out his last time up. He singled in the first. Middle infielders playing back. Now they bring him in.
Oh, how about that on the stretch? They were back until he came set, and they come sprinting in. That maybe to put it in the mind of the hitter, where he sees him coming back in, and he'll change something.
So now the infield at the cut of the grass all the way around the horn. Swung out and missed, and it's 1-1. Now the 1-1. Broke his bat. Wraps it up the middle, and the Indians tie the game. Bourn with his second hit of the night, his 12th run batted in on the year, and we're tied at 2.
Well, that goes to show you that with the infield in, you don't have to hit it all that hard. He just put it in play, and he got this one between the legs of Nicasio. And it's a good hit by Murphy. There's a ball away. That it cracked his bat, and he just hits it hard enough, got it between his legs and into center field, so we have a tie game.
Now is Dribble Cabrera with Bourn at first and one out. Cabrera 0 for 2 on the night. Down on the dirt. Watch Nicasio as the ball comes back to him. It went his back's almost turned. It went through his legs with his back turned to the hitter.
He was hoping, I think, it hit him. I think he saw it coming. And he was waiting for a deflection, but it just goes between the legs.
Bourne chased back to the bag. He had a good look at Nicasio in the first inning when he singled to see if he's anxious to maybe try and steal a bag here. Swing and a miss by Cabrera, 1-1 to count. Cabrera just one hit in his last 24 at bats, trying to shake loose maybe the effects of the games that he had off, the injuries that he's been dealing with.
Well, I'm not so sure he's still 100% with those legs.
I agree with you.
He's not moving anywhere like he could. And there's times where when you're an everyday player, man, you play through some pain and you deal with it, but you give it the best you've got that day. And that's how you battle through it. I mean, a lot of times you play and you're not feeling 100%. That's for sure.
Bourne's off. And the 1-1 pitch hit high in the air. Deep right field. Kadire back. He's out of room. It's out of here. As Drupal Cabrera with a 2-run homer here in the fifth gives the Indians a 4-2 lead.
And sometimes good things happen when you go out there and you may not be 100%. He picked on a hanging breaking ball, Matt, and hit it a long way. So he will give the Indians a 2-run lead. For Cabrera, his 4th home run on the year. And nice to have a man aboard. There it is, that breaking ball or the hanging split. Hit it a long way. 2 extra base hits in the inning for the Indians.
Well, perhaps the offensive drought is over as the Indians come out hammering the ball here in the 5th inning. And now Michael Brantley looks at a ball down low. Brantley 0 for 2 on the night. That had to feel good for Cabrera. So as we said, he's played hurt. He's played through the injuries. And
yep, his last home run was down in Tampa.
And now Brantley drives one up the alley. His hitting streak continues. Into second base with a double. Brantley with a hit in 15 straight. And now 19 in a row here at Progressive Field.
And he stands alone when it comes to hitting streaks in this ballpark. He is by himself as an Indian. Well, he got a ball right down the middle, a fastball. And he took advantage of it. He gave him a little swinging room, hit it in the gap. For Brantley, that's his 12th double.
Brantley, Kenny Lofton, and Robbie Alomar had all hit in 18 straight here at home as an Indian. Now Brantley has hit in 19 in a row, and that's the longest since Julio Franco hit in 19 in a row back at old Cleveland Stadium in 1984. And after the visit by Colorado pitching coach Jim Wright, they get Tommy Kahnle up in the bullpen. Kahnle, a hard throwing right-hander. Jason Kipnis 1 for 2 tonight. He singled back in the first. Hit the ball hard his last time up. Hit it to fairly deep center field. Throw to second, close play. And Brantley,
wow, that was
just back in ahead of the tag by Tulowitzki.
That was timed beautifully.
Sure was.
I mean, it was a great throw. It was close, man. That umpire waited a long time before he made the call.
Ooh.
That's perfect throw. That's how it's supposed to be done. I mean, it looked like from our angle back here that Brantley slid right into the tag. Huh? He could have been out right there.
Inside to Kipnis.
Well, for Nicasio, usually the first time through the lineup, he gives a 238 average. Second time, gets a little better, 237. The Indians had 3 hits the first time through, 2 hits the second time. But the third time through, they're 3 for 3.
And Kipnis taking. It's a called strike. Walt Weiss chewing on his fingernails as Nicasio tries to work out of trouble. Indians have taken the lead 4-2. The 1-1 to Kipnis is low and away. Four out of the 5 Indians hitters who've come to bat here in the inning have hits, and 3 of them for extra bases.
That's the good thing to see. Extra base hits.
Found right back. Four runs on 8 hits now for the Indians. 2 runs, 4 hits for Colorado. And Kipnis trying to keep the train moving here. Nicasio, a long look in. Up and in. He trying to back him off a little bit, and it's 3-2. Lonnie Chisenhall waiting on deck. And the payoff pitch is hit to first. Morneau will take it himself. 2 down. Time once again for a Mazda game break. Here's Al Pawlowski.
That the Royals have lost 7 of their last 10, but they beat Toronto last night, and they're leading them here again tonight. Alex Gordon, a 2-run homer in the 4th inning, his 4th of the year. It's 4-1, KC over Toronto, top of the 7th inning now, north of the border.
All right, thanks, Al. Well, Toronto was steamrolling everybody there for a while.
Well, their streak ended last night. It was a 9th inning error that did them in. Eventually.
Here's Lonnie Chisenhall. He drove in the Indians' first run of the night with a 2-out RBI single. Let's see if he can do it again. Juan Nicasio about to make his 30th pitch of this inning. Now, I suppose it's one thing when you make a guy throw a lot of pitches early, but when he's already near the end of the line and you can run him up there around 30 pitches, his stuff can't be quite as good.
No, you're going to lose a little bit on your fastball. He's had a tendency to leave a few pitches up in the zone here this inning. And, you know, he's running on fumes, and he's had 100 pitches in the 5th inning.
Lonnie takes. It's a strike in the count, 1-2. Brantley, the runner at third base. And the pitch is hit to third. And it's by Culberson. Brantley scores. Chisenhall will go for second. The throw not in time. It's a 4-run 5th for the Indians, who now lead it 5-2.
Well, he does it again with 2 outs. Chisenhall stayed on that ball nicely. And it's going to be a backhander for Culberson, and just couldn't do it. Gets by him down into the corner and then hustling into second base. He's going to be Chisenhall. It's a 4-run inning, and it's a 5-2 lead.
2 RBIs tonight for Lonnie, and that's his 15th double on the year, and that is going to be it for Juan Nicasio. This is the kind of inning the Indians offense has been dying for. And they come up big tonight with a 4 spot on the 5th to chase the starter. And the Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen. And it will be Canely coming on next. (5-2), the Tribe's on top. If you joined us late, here's our in-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Lonnie Chisenhall, 2-out RBI single in the first, gave the Indians the lead. But Cargo put the Rockies on top. Carlos Gonzalez 2-run homer made it 2-1 Rockies. But the Indians have stormed back with 4 here in the 5th. As Drupal Cabrera with a 2-run homer, highlighting the Tribe's offensive outburst. And now the new pitcher is Tommy Canely.
A home run and 3 doubles and a single in the inning. Big inning, and a desperately needed inning for the Tribe. And welcome home. Canely coming on for the 21st time.
Now Jason Giambi, 1 for 2 on the night. And he lines one into the shift. Wow, what a pick by Tulowitzki as he takes a hit away from his former teammate. But the Indians rock and roll here in inning number 5. Michael Bourn drives one home. Cabrera with a 2-run blast, and the Indians lead it 5-2. your photos to us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto for a chance to have your picture shown during one of our telecasts. It's all courtesy of AT&T. And I'm one of about 6 people guilty of taking a picture of that beautiful sunset here at the ballpark. I think everybody had their phones out. Great shot, though. Even Gary Coach.
What's Coach doing over there? Well, that's
there
okay.
it is.
He doesn't
That's
work
it.
here. He might
That's
as well
what we
go
were all
over there and
shooting
take
right
one.
there.
Okay, what are you going to do with that?
Gary will tweet it.
Yeah, well, figures. What are you going to do with it? What's Court going to do with it?
I'll text it to you.
Okay.
You can use it as a screensaver.
Save it.
Troy Tulowitzki.
Give it to Tony. He'll use it.
He drives around pretty well to center, but back is BOURN. Plenty of room. Makes the grab, one away.
Gotta like that. One pitch, one out. Well, get your Nick Swisher Brohio bobblehead. That'll be tomorrow night, courtesy of Sugardale, as the Indians continue this series against the Rockies. 12,500 fans will receive the bobblehead. If you don't have tickets, go to Indians.com and pick some up. That'll be tomorrow. Tulowitzki, his third at bat. He's seen a total of 5 pitches.
He likes to get after it, huh?
Yes, he does. He gets after it early. If he likes it, go for it.
And a strike called to Carlos Gonzalez, who hit that 2-run homer in the 4th for the Rockies' only run. Breaking ball and a beauty. KLUBER gets ahead 1 ball and 2 strikes. Slicing it down the line, but foul. Hit off the sidewall. Hit that off the plate, but foul.
Yeah, he fouled off a pretty good pitch. It looked like a backdoor slider he was able to get a piece of to stay alive.
The home run for Gonzalez was his first since May 7th.
Yeah, this is a guy, though, when he gets it going, he's about as good as anybody. You know, you want him to get it going later.
Well, his manager, I love this quote. Walt Weiss said, quote, "You know he's going to go crazy here at some point. That's just his track record."
Right. I mean, if you've watched, if you followed baseball and you like the National League and you see the Colorado Rockies, it's just a matter of time before this guy gets going.
The 1-2. Oh, he got him to chase one up high, and KLUBER strikes him out for his 10th K of the night.
He elevated the fastball and got him to chase it up out of the zone, and he took a healthy cut, but not going to catch up with that. The best you're going to do there is foul it off, and he could not. Comes up empty. He's had about 15 swings and misses tonight. Make that 12. Tommy Bowe says 12.
Well, I've got 7 of his 10 strikeouts swinging. And a good slider down in the strike zone for strike one to Michael Kadire.
Third time this year he's had double digits. Had 11 against Kansas City in that complete game. 13 against the White Sox in 8 innings. And 10 tonight.
In for another strike. And Kadire.
He didn't like it, but that was a pretty good pitch. I mean, to tell you, it breaks right down on the inside corner. You know, when you have hitters talking to yourself like that, you have good stuff.
Kluber with the 0-2. That fastball took off, and it's a 1-2 count now.
Well, trying to go upstairs and change his eye level like he did to Gonzalez, it just got away from him.
Now the 1-2. And it's pulled foul.
Nice play.
Beautiful.
That's a good play. Barehanded. That thing had a little heat to it. That away.
He's protecting a baby over there, too. That's a baby in the front row.
Gives it away. Give that man a contract.
Another 1-2. Up the ladder, and Kadire in protect mode fouled it off. Kluber keeps shaking him off, and now finally Kadire steps out.
No, he just threw a fastball by him. Wondering if Gomes was calling for the breaking ball, and Kluber wants to go back with another fastball.
Sometimes pitchers have told me they'll just shake everything off just so the hitter doesn't know what these.
Yes, and then a lot of times the longer they wait, sometimes it's a matter of location. And if you're going to locate, it usually boils down to a fastball.
That fastball went down and in and missed.
So 3-2, and the last couple of pitches have been a fastball. I'm saying he comes back with another slider. Get ready. Here it comes.
Struck him out looking. The American League strikeout leader, Corey Kluber, has punched out his 11th Rocky of the night. Michael Kadire called out on strikes to end the inning. He started barking immediately. Walt Weiss came out, and then Walt Weiss kept at it, and he got shown the door. His first career ejection as a manager.
Oh, yeah? His very first, huh? Well, it came, and it looked like, to be honest with you, it looked like a pretty good pitch. Kadire was upset. Now, I don't know if he was upset at the first pitch in that at-bat that was a breaking ball that he called a strike, or that last one.
Tommy Canely, who came on in relief of Nicasio in the 5th, will stay on. He got the final out of inning number 5. He'll be facing the bottom third of the Indians' order. Corey Kluber now leading the league in strikeouts. He came in 1 behind David Price. Price is fan 4 tonight. Kluber has struck out 11.
Yeah.
John Lester, Felix Hernandez were both tied with Kluber coming in tonight. They're not pitching.
Safe to say he's going to be in the lead when this night is over.
I would have to believe so, unless Price goes crazy in the next 4 innings. But he's facing a Boston team that is found their mojo after losing 10 in a row.
Yeah, they have. They beat
swept Atlanta, and
they beat them 4 straight.
Indians up 5-2. They go back to work here in the 6th now. Yan Gomes 0 for 2 on the night. And a fastball belt high for a strike.
Yeah, the Indians with 9 hits tonight, but the nice thing, they have 4 extra base hits, the home run and 3 doubles, something that has been missing from their attack here in the last 4 games.
Gomes is swinging a miss to even the count. Well, it's something that Jason Giambi was telling me earlier today. You know, this team was built offensively with the idea that everybody has to pull their own weight. This isn't a team that's going to revolve around any 1 or 2 guys in a lineup. And you think, you know, what happens obviously is that when team starts to struggle, maybe guys start to press a little bit.
They do too much.
So a night like tonight is good because, you know, in that inning, Murphy starts it with a double. Aguilar hits one to the fence that moves the runner up. Then 3 straight hits. Then another RBI hit. So each and every guy is contributing again instead of a bloop and a blast. And, we got 2 out of that inning.
And then they're not trying to play catch up as well, you know, where you're down.
Well, as promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And the Indians with 4 extra base hits in that 5th inning. Murphy started it with that
magic
great
hands
double. The blast by Cabrera that loosened things up a bit. But they didn't stop there. Michael Brantley extending his hitting streak with a double. And then Lonnie Chisenhall shoots one by the third baseman for an RBI double. Now here's Murphy again. And it's up high, and out goes the catcher Rosario. It also makes sense to me that the Indians kind of went south offensively on that road trip on the heels of the back-to-back 13-inning games, 16 games in 16 days. If you get a little fatigued, what's the first thing that goes when you're tired? Your legs. And if you don't have your legs, it's hard to drive the ball and really hit.
Well, yes, that's true. But I'll tell you what else goes is your mind, mentally.
Yeah.
You know, you get fatigued, and sometimes you're just not there. You know, and sometimes you can be physically tired and still get through it. But when you're mentally tired, that's the tougher part of the two. I'd rather be physically tired than mentally.
Now, both teams had a day off yesterday. And it looks like it did the Indians a world of good. But right back into the meat grinder because they'll play 17 games in 17 days now.
Yeah, that doesn't get any easier. You get your second win.
3-0 pitch. And it's ball 4. Wow. Canley's walked the first 2 here in the 6th.
Well, let's get a look at David Murphy. Look at this is what got him going back in April when he needed some hits. Watch some of the swings he puts on, but keeps his hands back. He just puts that front foot down and just boom, the bat comes through. How he hits some of these pitches is beyond me.
And that's just a small sampling.
That's just one day. That's the 3 hits in one day. The one tonight, that double that started off the inning, the 4-run inning. He gets to 2 strikes, and he's one of those guys where he'll choke up. He'll just come up and put it down, but he'll try to put it in play. And I've seen more times than not when he does, good things happen. He gets a hit. Or sometimes he'll roll over on one and look funky, but I'll tell you what, he doesn't swing and miss a whole lot like that.
Jesus Aguilar, he drove one to deep center field that Charlie Blackmon made a terrific catch on up against the wall in center field. But at the time, it moved Murphy from second to third. And he would come home on an infield drawn in RBI hit by Michael Bourn. Weren't they just out there talking to each other?
Yeah, I got to talk again, though, because they didn't put down the right signs. Rosario says, I thought we said this, and the pitchers doesn't agree with it.
So for the average fan who's never been through the grind of an 162-game schedule like 99% of us, what can a day off, just one day off, what can that do for you?
Just if you get away, just don't think baseball. It does wonders. It's like a week off to a normal person.
You really do feel refreshed after just one day off.
You can, yeah. Like I said, mentally, yes. Physically, maybe no. You'll come back, you'll still have some aches and pains on one day. But mentally, to get a break away from the ballpark and getting through the daily grind, it could feel like a week off to a normal person.
Or at worst, a weekend.
Yes. Yeah, it's not one day, 24 hours or whatever when you get home, just to spend it with the family and go and not think baseball, it's good.
Aguilar out in front, and it's 0-2.
You know, sometimes I think it slows everything down, especially when you're struggling, when you don't have to go and you get away from it, you go, oh, okay, it's not so bad. You know, you loosen up, you lighten up.
Yeah, when you're not in the throes of it. And
every single second of the day. Mm-hmm. These guys get to the ballpark so early, and I mean, it's a long day.
It can be very consuming. The 0-2, and Aguilar fists one towards second base. They'll go to second. They get the out there on to first, a double play. This series just getting started. We're coming right back tomorrow. 3 o'clock start time. Indians Live begins our coverage at 2:30. And then we'll have all the play-by-play action beginning at 3 p.m. as Trevor Bauer goes for the Tribe against Franklin Morales, a left-hander for the Rockies. And again, 3 o'clock start time. We'll have all the action for you right here on Sports Time.
It's our first 3 o'clock start this year, huh?
We had a 4 o'clock at home, didn't we?
Yeah.
Michael Bourn looking for an RBI hit once again. Pops it up, back, and out of play. Well, that double play ball came just in the nick of time for Tommy Kahnle, who had walked the first 2 to start the inning.
Yeah, he needed that.
Yan Gomes, the runner at third. And Bourne takes a strike. It's 0-2. Eight balls, 8 strikes from the Rockies right-hander. And now Bourne steps away. Now we're ready with the 0-2. And a fastball is down low. Kansas City landed on Toronto 6-1. The Royals lead the Blue Jays. Here it's a 5-2 Indians lead with a runner at third and 2 down. And a 1-2 pitch to Bourne. Outside, he missed. Tigers still on the West Coast. They're in Seattle for a 10 o'clock start against the Mariners. Minnesota leads the Yankees 4-1. They're in the 8th in New York. 2-2 is a little bit low. And a full count. Good at bat for Bourne as he has battled back. White Sox and Padres tied 1-1. They're in the 4th. Canley's 3-2 pitch. Hit hard. Left center field. Gonzalez on the move. He dives and makes a catch. And he took extra bags away from Michael Bourne, not to mention an RBI. But the Indians maintain a 5-2 lead through 6. It's baseball night in America as the Tampa Bay Rays take on the Boston Red Sox at Fenway Park. Catch the first pitch at 7 tomorrow night, only on Fox. Seventh inning here at Progressive Field, and the Indians lead it 5-2 behind Corey Kluber, who has struck out 11 Rockies batters here tonight. The most Colorado has struck out in a game this year was 12 times, and that was against James Shields in Kansas City back on May the 13th.
Yeah, this is the toughest team in the National League to strike out. They don't walk a lot.
Kluber's career high was 13 strikeouts back on May 4th against the White Sox.
Well, Kluber just continues to impress. His last 8 starts, 12 walks, 75 strikeouts. Over 6 strikeouts per walk, 6.25 strikeout per walk.
You'll take that ratio.
Unbelievable.
Ripped foul by Morneau. Tribe has action in the bullpen. Mark Zipchinski, left-hander, is up. Morneau lined out in the second inning. He was called out on strikes in the fourth. Pass ball missed outside. Justin Morneau with 10 homers, 14 doubles on the year. Smashes one in the left field. That's a base hit. Kind of handcuffed Brantley on the short hop.
That ball was smoked the other way. That's one you want. You don't know if you should come in and get it. And really, you want to play it on a single, but it stayed up longer than Michael thought it was going to because it was hit so hard, and he just had no choice but to just hold his ground. Look at that. That's, I mean, a bullet hit out there. But you give up the single.
And up comes WILIN Rosario, who is 0 for 2. He has fouled out, struck out tonight. Rosario fouled out in the second inning, went down swinging in the fifth. And he swings and misses to make the count 0-2.
Well, this is Kluber's 13th 0-2-1-2 count. The only hit coming off a count like that was the last swing from Morneau. Kluber at the 100 pitch mark, 69% strikes again.
Rosario has hit in 9 double plays on the year. And he strikes out here. Number 12 for Corey Kluber. A dirty dozen for the Indians right-hander.
Again, coming in with that slider that has been such a great pitch for him tonight. And gets another strikeout. Look at that. Up on that K board out in right field. I mean, it's
they're
a
filling
lot
it
of
up.
Circle K's, isn't there?
He is filling it up tonight.
No doubt about it. There it is. It goes on forever. They're going to run out of room if he stays in the game.
One more to equal his career high. And Charlie Culberson has struck out twice tonight. Double play ball to short. Cabrera to Kipnis. On to first. An inning-ending double play. Corey Kluber with another sensational performance tonight. And the Indians lead it 5-2. Time now for the 7th inning stretch. Brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. 5-2, the Indians lead it. As we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and you get a look in from our Panini's overstuffed cam. Nice crowd here at the ballpark on this Friday night. Fireworks coming up after the ball game. New pitcher now for Colorado after Tommy Kahnle went an inning and a third of scoreless relief. Matt Belisle coming on. We've seen him in the past with the Cincinnati Reds. Cabrera trying to bunt his way aboard. Fouls it off. Last time up, Cabrera with 1 on and 1 out, sent one out of here. And that gave the Indians the lead.
Yeah, hanging breaking ball, and last home run for Cabrera was down in Tampa. But it's got to feel good. He's been hobbling a little bit with the knee, the foot. Made it easy for him to run around the bases. Let's put it that way.
You know, the other thing, interesting thing about that home run is that, remember, Michael Bourn was running on the pitch. We haven't seen Bourn running a lot lately in terms of stealing bases, but he was moving, and then he was able to just cruise the rest of the way after Cabrera launched it out of here. Chopped foul. Good fastball away, strikes him out. 1 down.
Well, it'll be another Sugardale Dollar Dog Night Wednesday, when the Indians will host the Boston Red Sox. It'll be Dollar Dogs all night long. Visit Indians.com for your tickets.
Michael Brantley doubled and scored his last time up. Michael is now hit in 15 straight games and 19 in a row here at home. Big curveball in for a strike. The hit streak by Brantley here at home is the longest by an Indians player here at Progressive Field. And he bangs one to second. LeMahieu with a terrific stop as he takes a hit away from Brantley, and there's 2 down in the 7th. That was a nice play.
Yeah, it was. Once you get to the ball, watch him slide, and then he quickly gets to his knees, and he's able to turn around and just throw it right on target. It was a very good play.
Up comes Jason Kipnis, 1 for 3 on the night. Breaking ball in for a strike. And a backdoor curve's a little bit low. Fastball, and couldn't quite square it up. 1-2 the count. Jason had a base hit back in the first inning. You know, Terry Francona pretty much stuck with Carlos Santana as his cleanup hitter for the first, I think, roughly 40 games of the year. But lately, he's had to juggle the lineup, move people around, some of it because of injury, some of it because of performance. But, you know, the last game the Indians played in Chicago, Kipnis batted cleanup. That was Terry's third different four-hole hitter in 4 games.
Yeah.
You think about how you like to have that consistency in your lineup, and just hasn't been able to do it.
It just can't happen that way. He's trying to make adjustments. And
Jason Kipnis with a liner in the right field, a base hit. Kadire grabbed that with his bare hand.
It looked like that ball might have checked up on him. You know, he's going over, ranging to his right. See if that ball jumps up and into the air. He thought it was going to take a different skip. There it is. Well, why not? You don't need the glove. Who needs a glove? That is a 10th hit now for the Indians. The second one for Kipnis tonight.
Lonnie Chisenhall has 2 hits in the ballgame and 2 runs batted in. But this line drive to left will be caught to end the inning. 7 complete. Indians 5, Rockies 2. Authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Stay tuned for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care, coming up after the game here on Sports Time Ohio. Corey Kluber, 103 pitches on the night, but he's back for more here in the 8th inning. He's got the number 9 hitter, DJ LeMahieu, and then a couple of left-handed hitters to follow. The Tribe has double barrel action in their bullpen. LeMahieu singled his last time up. You know, you were mentioning it with Nicasio when he was in the ball game, Rick. It's worth repeating on Kluber's behalf. First time through the lineup, Rockies had no hits. Second time through, they had 3 hits, including the 2-run homer. Third time through, just 2 singles.
Yeah, he's maintained his good stuff all the way through this ball game. There's no doubt about it. He's had 4 strikeouts and that big double play ball that third time through. So that still tells you he's got really good stuff. Yeah. And I think that's why he's back out there again for the 8th inning. I don't care, 100 pitches, it doesn't matter. He's made one mistake today. Gonzalez hit a fast or changeup, I should say, out to right center field. He left it up. But other than that, he's been brilliant.
He has really kept the ball down exceptionally well tonight. And the 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball beats it into the dirt. And Cabrera throws him out, 1 away.
When you look at the breaking ball that we're talking about, the slider, and he also throws a cutter. But watch how these guys get after that pitch, where they are in the strike zone or out of the strike zone. He just continues to, and that's ahead in the count, and you get a chase. You get a chase. And there's a nice little cutter, and Kadire didn't like it, and that's going to do it for Corey Kluber now, because Francona coming to the mound to take him out. The crowd just loves this start.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great hand for Kluber.
14-0-2-1-2 counts to go with those strikeouts. Just another great start for Corey Kluber.
A dozen Ks, and he'll give way to the left-hander Mark Zipchinski. Well, he has had the strikeout pitch going all season long. Anytime you start talking about a guy and his strikeouts, and the first guy that you bring up is Bob Feller, that's saying something.
Well, Mark Zipchinski coming on out of that bullpen to pick up Corey Kluber. Because I still believe Kluber could have continued. You know what I mean? He was just breezing.
Well, he's one guy who's not going to want to see the month of May come to an end. He's in line to go to 4-0 in the month of May with an ERA of under 2. Chopped to second. Kipnis will throw him out. Close play, but he got him 2 away.
Well, come on out to the ballpark Tuesday night. See the Tribe take on the Red Sox. You'll receive a Michael Bourne bobblehead courtesy of Shears. 10,000 fans will receive the giveaway. Go to Indians.com.
Rockies and the Red Sox on this homestand for Cleveland. Corey Dickerson 1 for 3, doubled and scored in the 4th. Oh, He waved at it, and it's 0-2. Corey Kluber is also in line to go to 5-0 and 5 interleague starts in his career.
Fireworks to follow tonight's ball game. Looks like these people they're up in the upper deck. They're going to enjoy it.
Swing and a miss. Zepchinski strikes out Dickerson. A 1-2-3 eighth inning. The Indians lead it 5-2.
Families is the KeyBank Kids Value Ticket. It's available every game at Progressive Field, and each kid receives $15 for free. $15 for free to use on concessions, merchandise. Visit Indians.com/kidsvalue to purchase your tickets today.
New pitcher now for the Colorado Rockies, and it will be Nick Massett. I'm thinking Chicago because the last time I remember seeing Nick Massett, he was with the White Sox coming on strong as a young pitcher early in his career. He'd come out of the bullpen throwing hard. And then he went on to Cincinnati after that. Missed all of last year with an injury. Bouncing ball to first. Morneau will take it himself, and Giambi is out, number 1. In-game box score brought to you by your Hyundai dealers. And the Tribe getting contributions from a lot of different people tonight. And that's big for this offense. Get some guys going again. And especially Jason Kipnis, who's just coming off the DL. For him to get a couple of hits tonight, got to be good for his confidence. Yan Gomes 0 for 2 with a walk. Nick Swisher on the DL, checking out the action. He said he's going to be one of the biggest cheerleaders for the club while he's down on the DL, trying to pick his guys up. Gomes with a fly ball to right field. That's out number 2. Going to bring up David Murphy. Murphy doubled and scored in the 5th. Out of play in addition to tomorrow's 3 o'clock start time between the Indians and the Rockies here at the ballpark. The Nick Swisher Brohio bobblehead giveaway. Now the 0-1. Bounced it in there. Breaking ball, and Murphy waved at it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Murphy got the Indians started in that 5th inning with one of his patented, as you call it, magic hands. Double to right field, and next thing you know, the Indians had put 4 on the board. Chased that one and strikes out to end the inning as they throw to first to complete the out. 8 complete. Indians 5 and the Rockies 2. Tribe on top as we go to the 9th inning here at Progressive Field. Stick around for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car. It's coming up next. The Indians will turn it over now to Cody Allen. He'll try to save it for the Indians tonight, looking for his 2nd save of the season. Looking back at our keys to the game, brought to you by Akron Children's Hospital. You got to score to win, obviously, and the Indians broke out with a big 4-run 5th inning. And what was important in that is that they clobbered some extra base hits, had 3 doubles and a home run in that 5th. And Corey Kluber was just, you run out of things to say about how good he's pitching.
The last time the Indians won was Kluber was on the mound in Baltimore. It was a 9-0 win. He went 7 innings and didn't allow a run. He hung a changeup to Carlos Gonzalez, and that's how Colorado got on the board tonight. It was a 2-run homer in the 4th.
Well, thanks to Kluber, who whiffed 12, and Zepchinski, who struck out 1 in the 8th. The Indians have struck out more Rockies batters than any other team this year in a single game. And as you said earlier, Rick, this is a Colorado team that puts the bat on the ball. They hit for a high average. They don't strike out a lot, but tonight.
And they don't walk a lot. So, you know, that's not easy to do.
Swing and a miss. And Troy Tulowitzki in the count in the hole 0-2. Ran it in off the plate. Tulowitzki, Carlos Gonzalez, and Michael Kadire for the Rockies here in the 9th. And a 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball, got him. Oh, just froze him.
Now that's the pitch that Allen didn't have his last time out. When he's got his curveball, he is lights out. And you can see how it freezes one of the best hitters in the game right there. Never facing Allen before. That good curveball. There it comes down into the zone. 14 strikeouts now for drive pitchers.
And now up comes Carlos Gonzalez, who hit a 2-run homer in the 4th. It's the only runs for the Rockies here tonight. Chased a high heater. Foul right back. We're going to count 0-2. Two-strike pitch. No, wow, it took off a little bit. Fouled back. Cody Allen looks in. And the 1-2 to Gonzalez. Oh, another breaking ball. Got him looking. 2 down in the 9th. 15 strikeouts for Indians pitchers here tonight.
There it comes again. It's right back in shape, and he didn't have it last game. He has it this game. He's seen 2 hitters, and he's punched out too. Looking. Tulowitzki, Gonzalez. Not easy to do. 15 punch outs now.
And a strike to Michael Kadire. just missed the outside corner with that one.
Yeah, these fans, they're up on their feet. They want to see another punch out. Doesn't matter. They just want to see an out and get a win.
Popped him up. Foul ground near the dugout. Gomes makes the catch to end the game. The Indians' 4-game losing streak is history. And they do it in style tonight with a 5-2 win over the Colorado Rockies. They are now 25-30 on the year. Rockies dropped to 28-26. The winning pitcher is Corey Kluber. He goes to 6-3 on the year. The save to Cody Allen, his second. The loser is Juan Nicasio. He drops to 5-3 on the year. But wow, what a month for Corey Kluber as he finishes with 60 strikeouts in the month of May. And offensively, should be pointed out with their outburst tonight, the Indians now have 11 players who have 12 or more runs batted in. That's the most in the majors. Michael Brantley extending his hitting streak to 15 games overall and 19 in a row here at home. Time now for the KeyBank play of the game.
Well, we're going to see Asdrubal Cabrera come up and pick on a hanging breaking ball. From Nicasio, it's a 2-run homer. It gets him rolling. Murphy got it started. It was part of the 4-run inning. Just what the doctor ordered. Some extra base hits, a big inning. That's our KeyBank key play of the game, brought to you by KeyBank.
All right, so the Indians get the win. We go down to the field to talk with Indians pitching coach Mickey Callaway. Boy, it's got to be a joy to watch Corey Kluber go to work every 5 days right now.
Oh, yeah, he's tremendous. I mean, I think the fun part is watching him in between starts, watching his bullpens, the way he goes about his business. But when he gets out there on the mound, it's really special right now.
What's the separator, Mickey, for him this year compared to last year? Is it just maturity and just believing in himself?
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. I think last year he went out there and really figured out that he could throw the ball over the plate. So his intention was just to throw the ball over the plate with all of his pitches. I think this year he's really attacking the hitter's weaknesses as well. So, he knows the guys in the lineup that he can just stick with his strengths, and then he knows the guys in the lineup that he needs to probably attack their weaknesses a little better, and he's got 4 pitches that he can throw at any time to do that, and he's tremendous.
He finishes the month of May 4-0 with a 2.09 ERA and 60 strikeouts against just 8 walks. Why has he been so effective with the strikeout pitch?
Yeah, I think it's what we just talked about. I think he's able to attack the hitter's weaknesses. So when he's facing the big guys, he can attack their weaknesses, and he's still striking them out as much as he is the guys at the bottom of the lineup and the weaker hitters that might be in the lineup when he's just pitching to his strengths. So, he's kind of got both working for him, and it's good to watch.
Mickey, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Yep, thanks for having me, guys.
That's Indians pitching coach Mickey Callaway, who watched Corey Kluber go out and pitch another gem here tonight. 5-2, the Indians a winner. Back with some final thoughts next.